Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We're now at 85 participants, which is amazing. Um, our session this evening is about senior benefits in Israel. Some of you might have joined us last month where we had a focus on Bituach Leumi for seniors. Now this is going to be a more general, lot of touching on a lot of different topics. My name is Sippy Oppenheimer. I am part of the Nefesh B'Nefesh advocacy team. We are your post Aliyah address for anything questions you may have. As the screen says, you can contact us by phone, star 3680 Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., or by email. And we're always there to help you. You we much prefer you to ask us a question before things become a problem than waiting for things to become a problem. So we are there. We are here for you. I'm just gonna close my email so that it doesn't bother me. Okay. There we are. Um, so again, some of you I may have met, some of you I've spoken on the phone with, some of you I've exchanged emails with. I'm going to be joined later on this evening with my colleague Miriam Naiman, who will be joining at some point, and perhaps another member of our team. Right now, I am soloing this, and if you see there is a possibility to ask questions in the chat, I'm going to be very honest with you and ask you to please hold off on every single one of your questions until the end of this presentation. You're a large group, so everyone is muted, and we're gonna only be able to answer questions that are written in the chat. But please wait until the end. You might be surprised that we'll get to your questions uh, as the presentation goes on. Especially because we did take into account your various questions that you sent in ahead of time, and most of them should be covered in this presentation. So please hold off on writing questions in the chat until I finish the presentation. Two, this is being recorded, and you will get a link to the recording. Today is Wednesday. I'm not going to promise you're getting it by tomorrow, but Sunday you should have it, Sunday or Monday. There'll be a link to the recording as well as some of the links that we talk about and other important helpful links will be in the follow-up email. So that way, if something is too quick, something is not clear, you can listen to it again and you can look at the links that we send, and hopefully that'll be uh, become crystal clear to you. Okay, so we are going to begin. So the first question, of course, is who is a senior citizen in Israel? Okay. The question always is to be Israel specific because the answer might be different in the US, in Canada, or elsewhere. So this chart here is really for women. The answer for men is it's a very simple answer. Senior citizen in Israel for men is anyone the age of 67 and older. That has been like that for years now. Nobody really cares if you are actually retired or not retired. You are still a senior citizen. Okay, obviously we care if you're working or not working for other reasons, but not for the benefit, not for the point of this session tonight. Anytime we talk about senior benefits, for men, it's 67 years and older. For women, a change was put into place very recently. Anybody who was born after 1970, January 1st, 1970, the senior citizen age for women is 65. Anyone born before 1960, January 1st, 1960, the age was 62. Between 1960 and 1970, the age is gradually increasing to the age of 65. So this table actually gives you an exact look at what your birthday might be and then what age you are considered a senior citizen. Okay, the law was changed moving it to 65 for women, but the government didn't want to jump one day you go to sleep and your retirement age is 62 and the next day it's 65. So they made it gradually in increments. Again, you don't have to sit there and write this down or copy all the numbers. You will get a recording with this, and you'll be able to see it. You can also, by the way, find this information. It's taken from the Bituach Leumi website, which is the National Social Security of Israel, and they have an excellent website in English, and this is taken from there. Okay, so though the age says retirement age, that's what it says in that's a translation, Gila Prisha. This is really the ages for senior citizen, and it's regardless of if you're retired or if you're not retired. This does not mean you have to retire at this age. Means that you are eligible for certain benefits from this age and onwards. Okay. a big, well, a lot of questions were sent in about a senior card, and this is a big part of our presentation this evening. What is a senior card? When do I use it, and how do I use it, and how do I get it? So a senior card is very much it's not in place of your Teudat Zehut, your ID card. It's in addition to it. Even though your ID card has your birth date on it, this is what you want to have carry with you, either plastic or digital. We'll talk about in a minute, to show that you are indeed a senior citizen. You are the age of a senior citizen, so that you are eligible for certain benefits. Hold on, hold where I am. Okay. Um, this card that is an example, as you can see, and it was downloaded to, it's actually mine, downloaded to my phone. Uh, Maybe 5 years ago, it was a digital revolution, including in the senior citizens, the Ministry for Social Equality, which covers the senior citizens section. And they allowed a person to download it to their phone, which is quite convenient. However, they have now gone to the next step, and it's not, you can't just get the plastic one. You might get the plastic one in the mail if you ask for it. You might take a month, it might take half a year, it might take 2 years. Depends if they're printing them at the time or not. So, what we're going to be explaining before I explain when you use this, I want to explain how you download it. Now, I'm going to remind you, hold on. The first step is downloading this app, installing this app on your phone. You cannot, if you write, it's a Ezrach Vatik, and if you look at the screen, you see the words in Hebrew. We'll put that in the follow-up email, okay? Even a link to each of for Android and for an iPhone. You can't put Ezrachvatik. It won't show up. You have to put the letters in Hebrew, although again, we'll send you those links to the two different types of phones. And then you need to install it on your phone. Um, there's gonna be a short film telling you how to do this, okay, which I'm gonna show you in a minute. I want, for some of you this might be easy peasy, and for some of you it might be causing heart palpitations, God forbid, because for some people use downloading to your phone and filling out an app and using an app is easy, and for some it's really a cause for stress. So for those of you who it's a cause for stress, please don't be stressed. I'm going to put in a public service announcement. If you live in the area, in the Jerusalem area or in the Tel Aviv area, once a week we have something called Translation Station. Some of you might know it by its previous name, Translation Tuesdays, but we do it in Tel Aviv on a different day. So it's now Translation Station, and we can help you download this to your phone if you're having any problem. That being said, we'd love you to try it yourself. We're going to go through a short clip right now of how to do it. You're going to get a link to this, and you'll be able to watch it again and again. And hopefully, you'll be able to download it to yourself, to the phone yourself. Once you have it on your phone, you will just be able to easily access it on your phone whenever you need to show your senior card. There is a way when you do it this way on your phone to also ask for the plastic card, but as I said, it may or may not come to you quickly or not so quickly. So, with no further ado, okay. So we actually, took screenshots and wrote in what we hope was helpful instructions. The first screen after you download it, install the app, and open the app, you are going to be, I actually should go back a minute, and I'm having a hard time. Excuse me one second. I'm having a hard time finding how to. I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute, please, and figure out why I need to go to a smaller. Um, Thank you for your patience. One second. Okay. Access. Here we are. Okay. I want to be able to see the bottom of my screen, which I was not able to see. So I'm going to go back to sharing it. And here I am. Okay. Um, Once you install this, okay, This is what I wanted to say. You're going to see it. You're going to open it up the Ezrach Vatik. That's what you're installing. And on the first screen, you'll be asked to fill in your details. That includes your phone number, your 2.zoot number, and your birth year. Okay? Your year of birth. The checkbox is important for you to check off because that says that you agree to terms of service. And without that, you won't be able to go any further. Now, I forgot to say one very important thing. Unfortunately, you can only download one card per phone. The default they believe is that you have each of the, if you are a couple, each of you have a cell phone. If that is not the case, please be in touch with us. I haven't tried this recently, downloading two cards to one phone. Our experience from a year and a half ago when we did well, it doesn't matter. We were not able to do so. If you are a couple who are watching this and you only have one cell phone, give us a call tomorrow, star 3680 between 9 and 5, or send us an email and let's talk it through and see if we can find a workaround for that. Anyway, so after putting in your information and clicking off the checkbox, you are going to click on the blue tab here, the Kabbalat Code Gisha, to receive a code. You're going to get a text message with a I believe, with a 4 or 6 digit code. We'll see in a second. It is a 6 digit code. Okay. The code, it will be in Hebrew, the message that you receive, but you'll know that you're getting it and it will have a number. And that's what you want to enter into the screen here is the code that you received the message. The rest of the message says that the code is good for 10 minutes. If you get distracted and need to go somewhere else, you're going to just need to go back to the previous stage to ask for a new code. Now, once you put the code in, you're going to click on the blue tab again, the blue bar, and it's to the next step. You can, again, all those are just nice screens welcoming you and saying a little bit about the card. You're waiting until you get to this very important screen where you want to click on this um, the white picture in the grid, which says in Hebrew, "Lanpik dat ezrach vatik," which means to issue a senior citizen's card. Okay, this screen is going to be important because once you've actually downloaded the card to your phone, this is the same screen you're going to see, but instead of to issue, it's going to say to show your ezrach vatik card, your senior citizen's card. It's in the same location at this white square on the top of the grid here. So that's what you're going to actually press when you've finished successfully completed this. When you want to show the card to somebody, that's the way you're going to do it.
Can't get myself off so that I don't show.
Okay, can we just be sure that everybody is muted themselves, please? You
Yeah.
want now, you will need to enter your email address, which is what you enter here, and then the next step is the reason that you are asking for the card. And you have actually two options, and you want to click off the first option. Um, ex- I take that back. 1 second. You want to, sorry, when you're asking you the reason, there's going to be a drop down. You click on the little arrow here on the left side, and it's going to be, you're going to choose the first option, okay? Then you have these two tick off boxes. You're going to mark the first box. You have to do that if you want to get an actual physical plastic card. Again, as I said, you'll get it, won't get it soon, less soon, depends on
Interesting.
what's
Can't get
happening
rid
with
of the
them.
toys.
And then the second click off box means that you want to get more information from them. So if you do want to join the mailing list, please click it off. I will tell you that I am on the mailing list and barely get anything. It's not a nuisance, and sometimes it's a help. When you finish that, you click on the blue bar to the next step.
You're right. Why?
This is Grippy.
Okay, can you do you know how to mute yourself, everyone, or not yet? I will, one second.
Does,
Trying to see who
does
I
it,
need to mute here. Okay, anybody else who's not muted, please try and mute yourselves. Um, and I'm just going to remind you all that um, please keep your questions till the end because currently I can't both watch the chat and give the session, unfortunately, and I'd be happy to answer your questions at the end. So if you are writing them now, I'm not going to get to until the very end. I did happen to just see that one question, why do you need this card if your date of birth is on your ID card? Because you do. It's just like a student who has their student card. Seniors have their senior card. This is the official card that one uses to get certain. We'll go back and see what you use it for, but to get certain benefits. Okay. Um.
Tippy,
Yes.
I just
Oh,
want to take a moment to
hi, Liz. That's
introduce
my colleague,
myself.
Liz.
I've been on the whole time. So
Thank you.
if anybody has questions that they need to post there, like Tippy said, please wait till she's finished with the presentation, but you're free to type and wherever I can answer, I'd be happy to.
Thank you so very much, Liz, for joining. I didn't realize you were already
Sure.
on. Thank you so much. Okay. Liz is one of my colleagues in the answers team, which I told you you put your post Aliyah point of contact. And we're a lovely, wonderful team of 10 of us. And Liz has been so grateful graciously joined us this evening to help. Thank you so much. All right, let's go back to this one second. Oh, now this step is the harder step. You need to have either your two dot Zahoot, your ID card, or your driver's license. Okay. And the top button is for your ID card. The bottom one is your license. You don't need both of them, either or. You press whichever one you're going to use, and then you're going to have to scan it. So let's continue. Okay, so to scan it, there's going to be instructions on the screen. You need to scan the front, you need to scan the back. Be sure to put it on a level, like don't hold it with your hand. That won't come out clear. You want to put it on a table and then stand over it and take and scan both sides with good lighting. Again, I hope for anybody who this is causing too much stress, go through this by yourself quietly, and if you can't do it, we're here to help you. Okay. I also did see that somebody wrote in the chat that they applied for the plastic one, never got it. That's what I said. It took me, I don't know. It can, you can, sometimes we've heard of people getting it in a month, and sometimes it's been over a year. If you still haven't gotten it, there's a phone call you can a phone number you can call to ask them to send it and see what they say. It's on its way, or we're not sending out at all. We have received responses that we're not in the past, that there's been a long period of time that they haven't been at all printing out the plastic ones for whatever reasons, which is why you really do need to have it on the phone.
I just want to say the phone number you can try calling is asterisk 8840 between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Thank you so much, Liz. Liz, can I just ask you a quick question? When I'm doing when I'm showing this little clip, are you hearing background music or no?
No, I'm not.
Good. Okay. Um, once you've scanned it, it's pretty amazing system, okay? You're going to see then the information put in here. It's going to have your name in English and Hebrew, and you just got to make sure that it's caught correctly, okay? Don't the dark blue on the right is continue, and the left it's we need to scan again. You would need to rescan if somehow the information was taken incorrectly and they got the wrong 2.zoot number or whatever. So you want to check before you say continue. This is my favorite part. You get to take a picture of yourself. You can do a second shot if you don't like the way the picture came out. You can click on Silum Choser, the white button. But if you're happy enough with the picture, you just press on the blue button to the next stage. And you now have your senior citizens card. That is, hold on, it went by too quickly. That is what it's going to look like, okay, on your phone. Um, and we are done with that. Okay. Um, Again, you'll get a link to this. You'll be able to look at this, watch it slowly. We also do have an article on our website for those of you who are inclined to read. We have a lot of information on our website about a lot of post Aliyah things, including the senior card. So, a really easy way to find is just Google senior card and then put in the letters NBN for Nefesh B'Nefesh or whatever topic you want, and you put after NBN, and that's usually the first article that pops up. So now, assuming you have downloaded the senior card to your phone, what are you doing with it? So first of all, it gives you a discount. Lots of times, it depends to what, but it'll give you a discount to various museums, public, national parks, a 50% discount, various government-run stuff. Okay. Also, private entertainment. Sometimes you get a discount. There's something, my favorite upon becoming a senior, my favorite by far benefit is what's called Shlishi B'Shleikis. Shlishi is Tuesdays. Shleikis, for those of you who don't know, are suspenders. This was something that was set up maybe 15 years ago by a wonderful Knesset member who passed away. And it gives you entrance to movies for 10 shekel all day Tuesday. You have to present your senior card, but you get in for 10 shekels, so it's a great, great benefit. Other things that are less, whatever, there's the public transportation benefit. For those of you who don't know, as of Friday, anyone the age 67 and older will be able to ride for free on all forms of public transportation. You do need to take an active step to update your profile. You can do that through the Move It. You can do that on your Ravkav. You can do that on any of the other writing apps. But you do need to do something to update your profile to be 67 and older. Even if you already have a profile that gives you 50% discount, you will need to take the next step to get the free public transportation. For men, that's 67 and older. For women who are 62 and older, but not yet 67, you'll still have the half price profile on your public transportation. Um, Other things you can get discounts on, which is important to know. Arnona, there is no Arnona, which is our local municipality tax, property tax, so to speak. If you are living in a property that you own, you pay the Arnona. If you are renting a property from a landlord, you are paying Arnona. And you might remember, those of you who are New Olim, really New Olim, you'll remember that you got a 90, usually 90%, sometimes 50% discount up to the first 100 square meters of your rental or the place that you own. You got that for 1 year. Now, for seniors, there is no across the board discount. It's not every senior who reaches a certain age gets a certain discount. There are, however, discounts available that are means tested. Depending on which city you live in, the level might be different. I wrote it down for Jerusalem, and you're going to excuse me. Well, I don't remember it exactly. I believe it's for a couple a little bit less than 20,000 shekel, for a single maybe 13,000 shekel. But each city might be different. So if your income is less than that, you would want to apply for the discount. I am actually going to stop sharing a second. No, I'm going to share something else with you. I'm not so smart that I remember all these things by heart. I find them on various sites. So just as an FYI, the Jerusalem Municipality website, has really helpful information in English. Now, some of it is only Jerusalem based, but some of it is good for everybody, okay? So we were talking about property tax Arnona discounts, and I'm looking here what they're saying. Okay, these are the Jerusalem taxes. You can you can assume that other cities have similar, but perhaps a little bit of a different tax rates, okay? So you'll see that there's a lot of different options for seniors, but they are usually based on if you have a Bituach Leumi benefit previously, or if your income is very low, or if you, God forbid, have a disability or something, okay? What I will say is you cannot double dip. So if you're still in your first year of Aliyah, and you're getting your Olim discount, or in your second year and taking advantage of it now because it's a 12-month discount anytime in the first 24 months, you won't get a second discount. But once you finish that discount, if you think you might be eligible for a senior discount based on the fact that you get a Bituach Leumi stipend, or disability stipend, or that you have very low income, be in touch with us and we can help guide you. The other person you could and should be in touch with about specifically about Arnona is your municipality Klita coordinator. Many of the big cities or towns, not all, but many have Klita coordinators, people who are in charge of New Olim in their city. They work for the city. The Arnona is a city tax. They're the classic person for you to go to see if you are eligible and to how to apply for a discount as seniors for Arnona. But again, it's not across the book. It's not everybody gets it because I reach a certain age. It is means tested for certain. There are also possibility of a tax for your water bill, a tax for your electricity bill. Again, that is dependent on you receiving perhaps receiving a Bitur Lumi stipend because of low income or because of disability. It's not across the board. If you're in that situation, we can help you look into that as well. Um, Dental services, there was a reform recently, and now there are many dental services that are available for people over the age of 75, either at reduced rates, subsidized reduced rates, or free. That's something that you really should look into. And again, let me just show you. I don't remember all these things by heart. I go to, oh, maybe I didn't keep it up. Here we are. The Ministry of Health expands dental care to adults over the age of 75. And you can see which benefits are included in this, okay? Tooth preserving treatment, urgent dental care, testing, routine follow-up, x-rays, and so on and so on. Well worth it. Now, I'm going to tell you that it's not free, it's subsidized. So sometimes people still want to continue going to their private dentist. They're like, my mouth is very important to me, and I want to go to who I choose. But some people don't have that don't have the ability to do that. So you should look into this. If any of you listening are Holocaust survivors, there's other benefits available for you once you reach senior age that you should also look into. We will continue later on where you can find help in looking into all of this besides us at Answers. So hold off on that, and I'll give you a list of places that you can try and get assistance from as needed. I will just say here, if you don't know this, all the four Kupot Cholim, the four national healthcare funds or the HMOs, the Klalit, Leumit, Mucheret, and Maccabi, all have social workers who you can ask to meet with, a senior social worker who specializes in seniors, who you can meet with for a bunch of reasons. One would be to ask, what benefits do I have coming to me through my kupa as well as through other things, and they're there to help you. Now, the appointment might take a couple of months to get because there's, of course, not enough social workers per population. But it's not if it's not something urgent, then I really do strongly urge you to ask for such an appointment. Okay, we just did that, and I'm going to skip that for the moment. Um, this card is another card. It's not your senior citizen card. It's not your Ezra Vatik card. It's a card called Ptor Mitor, which in Hebrew is it sounds funny to the ear. It's a what it literally means is an exemption from waiting in line. I haven't found a good similar play on words in English, but this is a card for anyone who's 80 and older. You need to just know it will exempt you from waiting in line in certain circumstances, but not in all. If you're at a place where you need to have an appointment, you must make an appointment. You're at Misrata Pnim at the Ministry of the Interior. You must have an appointment. You can't just come and say, I have my Pator Mitor card. I'm 82. I please take me. You have to have an appointment. But if there's a line because they're running behind time, they should take you immediately, okay? Other places you see on the list here that will take you without using this card include cinema, theater, museums, bus station, national parks, large stores. If you've seen supermarkets, sometimes they have that. Post office bank branch. Don't forget, post office bank branch, you must have an appointment. But once you're there, if they can't take you right, you're there at the time of your appointment, and they can't take you because there's a line of people waiting, then you show them this card and they will take you. This does not exempt you from waiting in line at certain other situations, including, by the way, pharmacies. Pharmacy, you can make an appointment, but this card will not work there. You need to wait for your appointment time. Medical services, and so on. I'm going to show you something else because I like to show you things. And I'm pretty sure I have this up here. I just have to show it because this is one of the reasons why I love living in Israel. One of the many, many, many reasons. This website is the Bituach Leumi, the national insurance website. I told you it's a great site in English. So I could have showed you this in Hebrew too, but this is about, okay, a lot of information about people in senior age. It's always translated as old age. It's never translated as seniors. And this is my favorite part. You shall rise before a venerable person and you shall respect the elderly. Vayikra 1932. This is what our Bitul Humi puts at the top of the page when they're explaining about the Ptor Mitor card, about the exemption from standing in line. I have goosebumps just reading that, okay? I love Israel, and I love the fact that our government, national insurance, puts a pasuk from the Torah here as like, this explains why we have it. This is it. This is why we have it. So I just really needed to share that with you. Um, Liz, do you see any questions since you are on the chat that I should be addressing right now before the end, things that we went through already?
Yes. So, is the senior discount on our Nona based on world income or Israeli income?
It would be Probably it would be worldwide passive and active income. I say probably because you'd have to look at the form and just in general, and I don't have it in front of me, any of the forms that you fill out, you don't volunteer advice. Don't volunteer information they're not asking for, but my experience would be that they're asking for worldwide active and passive income. But we'd need to look at the form to be 100% sure of that. Anything else?
I'm just looking here.
Okay, terrific.
Um, do you apply before turning 67 or wait until 67?
Well, since the for the senior card, since it's immediately on your phone, they won't or in for a woman, whatever your age is, they won't give it to you. It won't upload. You'll be deemed invalid until it's your actual birthday. Okay, so and it would go by your Gregorian birth date, not your Hebrew birth date in this case. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you could probably if you could speak with a person, they'd give it to you by your Hebrew birthday. But since it's a computer and a bot that's doing it, it would be go by your Gregorian birth date. Okay, you need to wait until you actually turn the age.
There's
Oh,
one
and apply if
person.
you're it's asking about applying for an Arnona discount. There I think you could probably do it a month ahead of time, because it would probably take a while to process. Hopefully, they would agree to that.
Somebody joined late. She wants to know if it's correct that she received a letter to pay for Bituach Leumi. She's 62 and her husband is 67.
Okay, so we're going to get to Bituach Leumi in a second, so let's hold off on that. For anybody who came late, I'm going to remind you this is being recorded. You'll get a link to the recording and other links sometime in the beginning of next week. Um, I put off this Bituach Leumi slide to the very end. I skipped over it, so we'll get to that. And if whoever asked that question, if I don't answer that specific question, please you'll ask it again. Okay. Okay. So we're going to move on if that's the case. Okay, another thing that we got a lot of questions about is the handicapped parking badge. If you have difficulty walking, can't walk, are wheelchair bound, or have mobility issues because of situation. This is not necessarily related to seniors, by the way. This can be a younger person, but we put it here because sometimes seniors have mobility issues that they didn't have when they were younger. We actually have a wonderful article on our website that takes you through this step by step that will be in the follow-up email. But just to explain, you will need to fill out a form. You can do it online. You can also do it by snail mail, although regular mail in Israel it can be iffy. So if you can do it online, it's a very quick process as far as getting a response within a few weeks. Okay, I did this very recently with my father-in-law for my father-in-law, and we got a response really quickly. And we did it online. You will need, in addition to filling out the information in the application, you will need a medical letter from an Israeli doctor in Hebrew on Israeli letterhead from the Kupat Kolim saying, Dr. So and so, and I treat this person, your name, Shlomi, Ploni Almoni, Tudat Zut number 12345, and then whatever your medical condition is or situation is. If the doctor can write that you have difficulties in walking, if there is, God forbid, you're in a wheelchair, or if you have a specific condition, or if it's not a specific condition, but because of your age, you have difficulty walking, that would probably be accepted. But you must have that official medical letter, okay? Once you get approval, once you apply, excuse me, when you apply for the approval, you can apply for it to be associated with two cars. It's not necessarily your car. I'm just giving my example again. My father-in-law doesn't have a car. He hasn't driven in many years. He's 95, should live to be 120. We associated with my sister's car, my sister-in-law's car. He lives with her, and with our car. It's only good when he's in the car with us. I can't use it in general, but when we take him to his doctor's appointments and so on. Okay. So that is a handicap parking badge. There is also a procedure to ask for a handicap parking place next to your home, depending on where you live. You do that through the city itself of where you live, through the Jerusalem municipality, Tel Aviv municipality, or whatever. And that's when the difference, that's when you have a actual space that's saved for you with a sign that has your driver's license, excuse me, uh, uh, your car number on it. I'm trying to remember the name. Your license plate number. That was what I was trying to say. Your license plate number would be on that sign, and that would be the car that is used for you, okay? But that's a different process, and that is much more severe in proving the need for that, okay? This is a handicap parking badge, which will allow you to park in a space that is allocated for a handicapped person, be it at a medical center, be it at a parking lot, shopping center parking lot, or be it at a whatever, okay? It allows you to park in the handicap parking space. Okay. I'm going to go back to, before I go to this, I'm going to go back to Bituach Lumi.
A quick question, I'm sorry.
Sure. Hmm.
How frequently I have to renew parking badge?
That's a really
Handicap
good
parking.
question. I'm going to see if Liz, my colleague, can quickly look at the article and if she has an
Like
answer.
I'm
I
sorry,
don't
I
know
didn't hear it was hard for me to hear the question.
how
Do you
can you
mind
see if
repeating?
how
how
I'll repeat.
frequently? Every 2 years, every 1 year?
How often
Oh,
does it need to be renewed?
I'll
I
check for you.
Renew.
Okay. Okay.
I'll
She's going to
check.
check. Yeah. Okay. And you can break in, Liz, when you get that. Thank you. That's a very important question. We are going to be to Lumi. So the first question that somebody wrote in is actually not even covered here, so I'm just going to cover it quickly that Liz had read previously. Somebody said they turned 62, we're told they need to pay Bituach Lumi. That is correct. Once you turn, unless it's a correct except, okay? If you are still working and getting an Israeli salary slip, you or your husband, then you do not need to pay Bituach Leumi because it's taken directly out of the source. If you are an independent worker, what's called an atzma'i, you need to pay Bituach Leumi percentage based on your income. If you're a salaried worker, they take it out of your salary slip, also a percentage of your income. But if you are over the age of, if you are retirement age now, 62 going up to 65 for women, 67 for men, you do need to now pay Bituach Leumi. You need to pay it is currently 120 shekel a month per person. If prior to retirement age, the man actually covers his wife as well in his payments, once for whatever reason, once you reach retirement age, you need to pay separately 120 shekel each. Okay. There is another payment. I'm hearing funny noise. There is another payment that people pay to be Lumi of another 130 shekel that under retirement age you pay, but you pay. You do not need that. You're only paying the 120 shekel, which is actually the healthcare tax fee. Okay, it goes up a little bit every year by cost of living. It was 118 last year, now it's 120. But that is what you need to pay. And I'm not going to go into more detail about that. We actually talked about that in last month's open forum, which I'll send a link to that in our follow-up email as well. That was all about Bituach Lumi. If you need help, how to, you can set, we strongly suggest setting up either direct debit from your credit card or from your bank account so you don't have to think about this all the time, and they will debit it quarterly, that amount of money. If you need help with that, send us an email and we'll send you the directions by email. And if you still need help, we have volunteers who can help walk you through it. Um, so that's about what you owe Bitua Hlumi. Now, what am I getting from Bitua Hlumi?
Excuse me,
Or,
before you continue with Bituach Leumi, in my question about the senior card was not answered.
okay,
I
well, so
will,
can you just wait? Hold on a sec. So I'm strongly, I'm sure there's many other questions that we haven't gotten to. So why don't we just let me just go through this, and then I'll go back and go any other questions that weren't answered or that need to be answered, if that's okay.
I guess
Okay.
so. I
Okay.
mean, I'm
Thank
not
you.
happy with that, but okay.
Okay, well, so the original request was to hold off on questions till the end of this whole session. For those of you who joined us at the beginning, that was the original request. You can type in the questions. My colleague Liz is trying to answer what she can by typing the answers back, and what needs to be answered uh, uh, more in depth, I will address, or what I think needs to be, everybody needs to hear. Thank you for your patience. Um, Okay, what Bitur Leumi, I guess I should start. It's the National Insurance of Israel. It is, I like to liken, I mean, people compare it to Social Security, but it's not really. There's nothing, it's comparing apples and oranges. Bitur Leumi has two main functions. One is they are the overseer of the healthcare fee and healthcare funds. The government has given them that job, and they collect the healthcare taxes, which is at 120 shekel, and give it out to the various four Kupot Cholim percentage-wise as number of people who are in that fund. Their second function is they deal with all what we call life cycle and other stipends. That includes things like if you give birth mazal tov, which people on this session, it's not relevant to them, but you should know there is a maternity leave payment if you worked, and there is a birth grant for everybody who gives birth, just as an example, okay? Things that are relevant to you, you should know about, is one of the benefits that you receive from Bituach Leumi, even though you never paid past the age of pension, you don't pay past the age of senior, you don't pay into it for this part. Everybody in Israel is entitled to a free burial. The burial is in the cemetery that is related to your address in your Teudat Zehut. If you live in Tel Aviv, it'll be Tel Aviv. In Jerusalem, it'll be Har Menuchot in Jerusalem. If you want a separate or a certain cemetery that's not in the city you live in, or that is a private cemetery, that you need to pay for, obviously, but you get everybody in Israel otherwise gets a free burial in the cemetery. So that's one of the benefits you receive. Another benefit that you might be eligible for is something called Chok Siyud. That's long-term care. When somebody becomes in need or unable to take care of themselves and in their daily needs, okay? Dressing themselves, feeding themselves, bathing themselves, toileting themselves, and so on. You do have the possibility of receiving a certain amount of hours, or that's how it's called, how many hours a week of somebody to come in and assist you. Note that those hours can be redeemed to be money. If a family member is helping you, you can still apply for that and get there will be a committee that will assess your needs, assess your independence, decide you're given this amount of hours. And if you say, well, my family member's taking care of me, because, and then your family member is not able to work that amount or whatever, you can get that money, you can get those hours in money. Okay. That is long-term care, and that I hope nobody needs to apply for. And everybody should be healthy until the age of 120, but we know that that's not always the case. So know that that's available. Again, we're here. We can send you more information. We can direct you, if you need this, to who can help you fill out these forms and apply for it. Do not apply for it. I really do suggest you talk with us first, so that there are some implications for applying for stipends that you, in the end, are not eligible for. So why don't you talk to us before you apply? Um, Other option is bringing in a foreign worker. That is something you do privately. Again, money that you receive from the Bituach Leumi can cover that, but you do that. Actual foreign worker is you do that privately. It is a process. It's not an immediate process. So if you have the need for that, then you should be in touch with us so we can guide you as to how to apply for that. Lastly, there is a Moked, a call service, and unfortunately, I don't have the number here. We'll put it in the follow-up email that is run by Bituach Leumi for the elderly. My colleague put these slides together. Counseling service for the elderly. I don't recall the name in Hebrew, but basically, it's a call center and emails, but you can call them, and they will give you the answer and assist you specifically for the elderly. And it's a really through Bituach Leumi, it's a really good resource. They help you understand what your rights might be and what you have coming to you and what you can apply for, what you're eligible for, and so on. Okay, what we call in Hebrew mitzui zchuyot, which is using your benefits. Okay, we don't want nobody wants to be able to receive something and not know about it, and certainly you have every right to take advantage of whatever benefits do come to you if you need them. Okay. Um,
Maybe
I'm
I'll
going to
just
remind.
add that I've been
Oh,
here.
thank
Hi.
you, Miriam. I'm giving this to you, sweetie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Miriam. I was the one who wrote this presentation, and it just took me 2 hours for a 35-minute ride, 45-minute ride due to the serious fire of where I live. I was enjoying listening to Tzipi. I'm not sure where I should take
So
over.
Miriam, I'll tell you, I skipped this slide. I've done everything except this, and you might want to give your own take on this because you're really the expert. And then the other, I did not do the did you know? Okay. Otherwise, and then there's questions, and somebody including had a question that was well, there's questions that we still need to get to. So you might want to give your take on Bituach Leumi because I think it's really important. Um, Up to
Okay,
you. I
everybody.
just finished going through those points.
Right, I listened. So my name is Miriam, and I work together with Sippy and with Liz, who has been answering your questions on the back end. I did hear Sippy share that just recently we had a Zoom forum just like this, specifically on Bituach Leumi and specifically for the senior population. Going back, the second slide or the first slide was all about who is a senior. A senior for a man is 67, and for a woman is determined by her birth date. And we can go back to that slide. Sippy's the one who's managing the slideshow, but we can always go back to that. As Sippy mentioned, Bituach Leumi offers you many, many things, and one of their core benefits that they offer everyone today is the ability to be part of the healthcare system. That was another Zoom webinar that we did, was the connection between Bituach Leumi and the healthcare system. Because as Tzipi mentioned, Bituach Leumi is really the foundation for all of the different social opportunities, social forums in the country, including healthcare, including long-term care, including any type of pension, including burial. I'm only focusing on those things that might be relevant for everyone listening today. There may be those of you of employment age, and that might be also something that you are interested in terms of employment opportunities that the Bituach Leumi has to offer you, unemployment, different services. The Bituach Leumi website, and I apologize if these are things that Sippy already mentioned, the Bituach Leumi website in English is excellent. I really give it a good solid 95, and that's just because I'm a hard sell to give anybody a 100. But it's excellent. And if you're not familiar with it and all of the different categories of what is serviced there, make yourself a cup of coffee one day and have a look. See, wow, you know what? I wonder what they offer in under what's called the third age. I wonder what's offered in terms of disability. Disability, the concept of general disability, is very specific to under the age of retirement. Over the age of retirement, it comes under, as Tippy mentioned, what's called Chok Siyud. Chok Siyud is long-term care. I'll just make a note about pensions because I did start to answer something in the chat about pensions. Now, when we talk about Bituach Leumi, because I know somebody who's asking this question, when we talk about Bituach Leumi, anything having to do with Bituach Leumi is tied to your residency. Residency was something discussed very strongly on that previous Bituach Leumi specific Open Forum that we did. And of course, you can always refer to that or call us if you need more information on what is residency, how do I keep my residency, what if I lose my residency, what should I do? Other things like the senior card is not tied to residency, that is tied to citizenship. Citizenship and residency, of course, are not the same thing. One never loses their citizenship unless you actively choose one day to revoke that citizenship. When we talk about pensions from the Bituach Leumi, most of you perhaps have not paid into the system for 5 years of time and therefore are not going to be eligible for what we will call the typical senior pension, the typical pension that one gets at the age of retirement. For those of you coming from the United States, you know that any money that you're going to get, please could you mute yourself? Those of you coming from the US, you know that your Social Security is going to be based on the hours that you worked and what you put into the system. Here in Israel, that will be taken into account, but will also be taken into account that even if one did not work, they will also get a senior pension from the Bituach Leumi. And that's because, as I heard Sippy mention, everybody pays into Bituach Leumi, except for those who might be in the army or certain categories of people who don't pay into Bituach Leumi under the age of retirement. If you made Aliyah over the age of 62 for a man or over the age of retirement for a woman, then you still might be eligible for what's called a special senior pension. Is this something that you discussed already, Tippy? I don't hear you. Still don't hear you. Not hearing you.
Okay, I know
Rachel?
I couldn't quite unmute myself. No, it's actually you need to go over that because that is actually what I did not
Perfect.
yet get to.
So the special senior pension, which is called Kitzba Zikna Miyuchedet. Kitzba is an allotment of money. Zikna is old age. And miyuchedet comes from the word miyuchad. It's special because you didn't pay in. However, you might be eligible based on your income. It is a welfare-based pension, meaning it is their thought that you already have income from abroad. And that income from abroad is going to be taken into account when applying for this special pension. What is that income ceiling? If you are not working here in Israel, or even abroad, and your income from your passive income, let's say like Social Security, if you are an individual and your income monthly does not exceed 4,273 shekel, you may be eligible for this senior pension. If you are a couple, even if one of you has zero, but the other has money, okay, because you're thought of as a unit, that amount per month, taking into account your Social Security or pensions and passive income, is 6,751 shekel. And you may be thinking to yourselves, this is a very low amount of money. How can anyone live on that? And that's because, again, this is a welfare-based pension. If this may apply to you, you may have heard now that I've used the word may several times. We are certainly not Bituach Leumi. And what we can do is guide you to the best we can. We also happen to have really great connections with the different departments in Bituach Leumi, which is what allows me to give you some of this information. But before filling out any form that requests your financial information, as Tzipi mentioned, it's really important that you talk to us to understand any other consequences. For example, now you have not listened to the webinar, or you listened to the webinar and decided to do differently, and you filled out a form for a special pension and you shared your income, and your income is above that ceiling. Not only would you, if you were within your first 6 months of Aliyah, lose that benefit of not paying into Bituach Leumi for the first 6 months, but they also might back tax you to when you handed in the application, because now they see that you have income. Because that 6 months of your first 6 months of not paying Bituach Leumi has to do with the assumption that new olim might not have any income. We can call it work, we can call it pension, we can call it anything. And if you don't ask for any money, if you're not asking for money, they're not going to ask you, they're not going to bother you, and they're going to charge you that standard 120 shekel monthly for your healthcare contribution. But if you share that amount of money, then it might go over 120 shekel. It could be more than 100 shekel more. It could be 220 shekel, 240 shekel. So again, if you're not sure, please give us a call. The same holds true when applying for long-term care, for chok siyud. Again, this is a benefit that's eligible or available to everyone, but for all Israelis is based on income, for all Israelis. You can see that income table on the Bituach Leumi website under what's called the third age. You'll see something called long-term care, and it's all in English. If you are a single, it begins somewhere within the 13,000 shekel range per month. You see it's much higher. And again, this is all Israelis. This isn't just people who made Aliyah at any point in time. But here again, you're about to share your income. And so if you're not sure, if you're not comfortable, if you just don't know, then give us a call so that we can discuss. Bituach Leumi really covers such a vast variety of services for the country because they are the foundation. They're the National Insurance Institute. When we talk about mobility, we're talking about for someone who has difficulty and is in perhaps a wheelchair and needs a special kind of car or needs adaptations for a car. I am not necessarily speaking about getting a handicap tag. That is something that we will still discuss. Mobility means you are wheelchair bound or you use a walker or something and you are under the age of 67 because the mobility benefit is only available to those 67 and under. The counseling service for the elderly through Bituach Leumi is a sort of call center. They do have English available. I've called it. And you might be caring for somebody who is in need. You might have questions. It's a counseling service. It's not necessarily a therapeutic service. It's a counseling service to give you guidance. And as Tzipi mentioned, when you have residency, because again, everything here that's listed from Bituach Leumi is connected to residency, then Bituach Leumi will cover your burial. They will not cover the headstone, but they will cover your burial in the city cemetery. So if you made Aliyah to Yerushalayim and a few months later or a few years later, you then moved to Netanya, but for whatever reason, you never updated your Tudat Zehut, and now you're 121, and your time in this world is up. Your city cemetery will be Jerusalem because that's what's listed on your Tudat Zehut. If you're married, you can use that service, and if you want to be buried next to your spouse to 120, then you may decide that you want to purchase the land next to, because I mean, you can both get, if you're married, you can both get this free burial service, but then there's no guarantee at all that you would be next to each other. Somebody asked, oh, hi. See, what I love about these webinars is that I know so many of you. So somebody just asked, if you don't pay into Bituach Leumi for 5 years before reaching retirement age, will you or won't you get pension? So first of all, I know that this is not the American way to say you might need to wait and see, because sometimes that's how things go with Bituach Leumi for a few reasons. First of all, Israel is a very dynamic country. I got to work this morning in less than an hour, and I did not plan on it taking me 2 hours to get home because of a very large fire where people were evacuated from their homes. Things happen all the time in this country. So too do the regulations of the various different government agencies. And so you will wait and see. I would like to think that you also have a private pension from your employer, and that will be yours to have and to hold to decide when you decide to take that money. What goes into the money that one pays to Bituach Leumi? It goes into a really big pot. And so for those of you who are working, your Bituach Leumi is not only 120 shekel a month for your health care or a sum total of 250 if you're under the age of retirement. It's a percentage of your paycheck. It's a large percentage. I'll just say from a personal experience, it's a large percentage of your paycheck, and it's going into this wonderful socialized system. And so while it might not be going to me, it might be going to my grandson who has special needs and they get different things for him. It might be going to you because you get a senior pension and that money has to go somewhere. It's a socialized system where the money just keeps on being taken and given and taken and given for those in need. We really do have so many different open forums, and I'm not going to stress too much more on Bituach Leumi because we've had more than one open forum specifically on Bituach Leumi. You hear that it's something I'm passionate about, and it's what I'm passionate is that you understand what it's all about. I see, until we go to the next slide, that somebody asked a question about the money from Misrad Habinui, from the Ministry of Housing. This is your money that you get for your rental assistance benefit. It's, as you see by the amount of money, it is not based on your rent. It is based on the fact that you do rent, and is available depending on when you made Aliyah, either from your 8th month or your 7th month of Aliyah. Even with that, there was a change a year ago or so about, there was a reform of how
A year
this
ago.
benefit, a year ago, is a reform of how this benefit is activated and managed. I know that Sippy spoke about so many things beforehand. I just gave you all a bit of an earful on Bituach Leumi. And really, being a new immigrant is not just getting off the plane. And it's not just that first month or second month, or if you're here already a while and you remember that you had a post Aliyah guide and you did all of those steps. Being a new immigrant is being a new immigrant in a way for life, because we don't need to be outsiders, but we all carry our culture inside of us. No matter who you are, English will always be your native tongue, will always be your mother tongue. You will always perhaps be more polite than the other person pushing you away while you try to get on the bus. You always this, that, or the other. And so it doesn't matter if you've been here a month or if you've been here several years. I know myself, I've been here almost 30 years. But as life happens and new situations arise, I need to ask questions because these are new experiences for me and I need to know where to turn for myself, as we all do. You know, many times people will say to me, yeah, okay, I used to use the internet, I went to Netflix, sometimes I Googled things, maybe I looked at the news, but oh my gosh, everything in Israel, they send you to a website and they want you to do this, and they give you personal portals and all of these things. And just that in of itself can feel very overwhelming. So turn to someone who can help you. It might be Nefesh B'Nefesh. It might be your municipal coordinator. In most cities throughout the country, there are municipal coordinators. If you are not sure who yours is, you can Google municipal coordinators through the Nefesh B'Nefesh website or ask us. There are those municipal coordinators that are happy to hold your hand lanetzach, for forever. There are those municipal coordinators in Jerusalem for a while who are a little bit more bound to be in touch with you for 1 year only, but then they have people in the different neighborhoods who you can be in touch with for up to 10 years from your Aliyah. If you're within your first year, you may have received a call from somebody called a regional coordinator. The regional coordinator program is one of our programs where we have 14 amazing people who work under us, who call you every month and say, hey, how's it going? What's new? And they genuinely want to know. Now, you may have experienced a positive conversation with them and then had a question that they couldn't answer. And they may have referred you to our department. They may have said to you, I need to check with my supervisor and I'll get back to you. And that's because they are amazing people doing a very specific job. They might not have that breadth of information that we are able to offer you. And that is why you might feel like, oh, well, what's the use of their call? But their use of their call is really to know that you always have a ma'aneh. You always have someone who's going to reach out, as opposed to you calling us and saying, You know, this has been going on for months and months and months, and now I'm calling you. They have the ability to really listen to the problem as it's happening and prevent anybody from being stuck. The Misrad HaKlita also has counseling that they can offer you. That information is available from 4 to 10 p.m. at star 3201. Yad Sarah is just a great resource. They're a great resource for if it's medical equipment that you might need. God forbid, somebody might be now in a situation that your home needs to be revamped. God forbid, somebody now needs to use a wheelchair, or somebody is in a different healthcare situation. Yad Sarah is an excellent source to give you information. AACI are the grandparents of Aliyah, Americans and Canadians in Israel. If I say that Nefesh B'Nefesh are the grandchildren, they're really the grandparents. And they're still active in many cities, not quite as active as they used to be, but certainly in many cities they are. Shield is a wonderful resource available in every city. It is a free resource. It stands for Sherut Ye'utz LeEzrach. Sherut is service. Ye'utz is advocacy or advice. La'ezrach is for the citizen. We are ezrachim. We are all citizens. And what they will do is they offer consumer advocacy. You purchase something and it arrived to your home damaged, or you're in some type of discussion with a store or your landlord or something. They are a wonderful free resource, and many of those offices also offer legal advice for free. The Merkaz Lemitzui Zchuyot is another service by most municipalities where they will allow you to share situations that you're having with your benefits or the how-to, and they will help you whether it's filling out a form. Mitzvah Zchuyot has to do with your rights and benefits. It's not just Oleh rights and benefits, it's rights and benefits as a citizen of the country. There happens to be a national portal called Kol Zchut. Now, I'm not mentioning it for any specific reason here. Kol Zchut is the national portal of all information of rights and benefits having to do with literally birth till death, employment, unemployment, special needs, wheelchairs, you name it, it's there. And so when we talk about Mitzui Zchuyot, is it how to get your benefit that you might be eligible for? Did you know that your foreign will not cover you here in this country? You must have an Israeli will. Excuse me. I literally ran from the car into this room to give this webinar, so I apologize. It's important to have an Israeli will, even if all you have in Israel is, I don't know, 10 shekel in the bank and whatever you may have, and all of your assets are abroad. It doesn't matter. There are wills, and there are also power of attorney and durable power of attorney. Who is in charge of your healthcare needs? What if you are not able to make decisions for yourself? Who have you appointed? What about a living will? All of these important questions that you may have thought about, even if you didn't do anything about them while you lived abroad, these are things that are really important to consider. Another open forum that we have done in the past with lawyer Rustel Mayer, who presented on wills, and then at a separate webinar, a separate open forum, he presented on power of attorney, durable power of attorney, and guardianship. Lastly, there are those of you who may want to get their Social Security deposited in Israel or keep it deposited abroad. If you wanted to deposit it here in Israel, there's a forum to do that. You can find it on our website. There is a Federal Bureau unit located in the consulate, the American, it's not called consulate, embassy, the American embassy in Jerusalem. Even though there is an embassy in Tel Aviv, really their main office for Social Security happens to be in Rome. Did you know that Israel is the largest concentrated place in the world for American citizens and for Social Security? We think of, only us in Israel, but really they talk about the Middle East, and that is why there is a location both in Tel Aviv and Yerushalayim. So you could decide. Now, let's say you do decide to have your Social Security deposited in Israel, but you know what? You heard this, or your friend told you that. There's a great Facebook group or a website called Living Financially Smarter in Israel. Network with other people, see what they have to say, what their experiences are. There's very few wheels that need to be invented from the beginning. Next slide, Sippy.
Are you okay? Do you want to get something to drink? And
I'm
I can
good.
do
I'm
this.
good because we're almost at the
Okay, I'm
end
not
here.
sure
We're
why
good.
it's not moving. Hold on.
The
There we
next
are.
slide has to do with our services. Our services are very broad. You know, you have me, Tippy, and Liz today, but we are just part of an entire team. I'm sure Tippy mentioned this in the beginning, that we are all there to answer your questions. Sometimes people say, you know, I called, but nobody answered. I called and I had to leave a message. And sometimes that happens. So we get about 100 emails and phone calls, pniyot. We have 100 people who turn to us every single day. So we really do try our best to get back to everyone. And we certainly try to answer our emails in a timely manner. But if you weren't able to reach us, do try again. We're really there 9 to 5, Sunday through Thursday. We also offer something called Translation Station, in which you can reserve a time slot. It's a 45-minute time slot in either our Jerusalem office or our Tel Aviv office to sit with someone and review. What would you review? You might want to learn how to navigate your Kupat Cholim website better. You might want to understand your bills. You might need help with forms. What we can't do is look over your lease or look over something legal because that takes a professional, that takes someone legal. We also have volunteers throughout the country who will give you a call. Oh, you're having trouble putting the utilities into your name? Let us help you. We have, of course, these monthly open forums, which are always recorded and can be found on YouTube without any trouble whatsoever. If you're looking for something specific, let us know and we'll send you that direct link. And of course, there's our advocacy with our government offices, whether that's Bituach Leumi, whether it's our connections within the different Kupot Cholim, whether it's Misvad Harishui, the DMV, you might be having trouble getting your driver's license. I know somebody on the chat on the webinar today is having trouble due to his healthcare form. There's lots of reasons why a person can have an issue. Give us a call. We're really happy to help. Next. I believe we've come to the end. And we did. There are still many people. I would like to thank Tippy.
There's Miriam, there are many questions in the chat, and
I
I did
can't
ask
see
to
them.
hold off on the chat. You probably won't see them
I can't see
because
them.
okay, so I am going to again because of the traffic issue and so on, I asked for people to hold off. So let me see. I'm just gonna go okay.
So many
Please
people
excuse me.
that it's nice to see.
Somebody also had a question about their senior card. If you want to ask it now.
Leah had a question about her senior card. Leah, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, I think I got an answer. My question was, I made Aliyah after I turned 67. Do I still need to apply for a senior card, or was that something that was given to me when I was at the airport or when I made Aliyah?
Do you want to answer, Tippy?
Sure. It was not given to you at the airport. In theory, at some point, you're supposed to get it in the mail, but it hasn't happened, and the physical cards are, as
Well,
I
I'm
said,
only
as you
here
heard me
6
say,
months.
and it's okay. I would see you're 6 months missing the opportunity to get discounts, so you should definitely
What
get
kind
the
of
card.
discounts?
Entertainment-based discounts. You go
There was a
look
whole long list of things we discussed what you can do with your senior card. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Somebody. Oh,
yeah, most of that stuff doesn't apply to me, but okay.
okay. Well, it is the official way to show that you're a senior in other circumstances as well. Somebody asked if the app has a language translator to English. It does not have an option for English unless you can do that yourself on your phone, which is why when you get, we will send you the link to this and you'll be able to see that clip. I'm trying to think, Leah, if none of those apply to you, would you ever want to use it? I mean, museums, you get half price, but you need to show that card even though your date of birth is on your ID card.
Mhm.
Did you talk about the travel reform, Tippy?
I did, although I'm going to say we had so many questions that came in that I did talk about the travel reform, and the question that came in many times is when is it beginning? It's beginning on Friday, which is exciting. It was talked about for a long time, many months, but it was never really approved or never finally approved. But it's supposed to begin on Friday. We did discuss that. Somebody asked the question, what happens with the rest of the money that's on your Ravkav or whatever card? There is a way to get it back. You have to, as I said, it's not an automatic switch over. I'm 73, so now I'm going to go on for free. You have to update your profile, and as you're doing that, there should be a way to be able to get the rest of the money back. I'm trying to see what else.
I don't believe that you can use an American phone number for the
I was
senior
told
card.
that if you have to go to a Ravkov office and then they automatically put it back on the credit card it came from. But I don't know
Thank
if
you.
that's true.
Well, you can switch over other ways, not just the Ravkov office, but I
How could
believe
you switch over? I have a Ravkov app on my phone that I use to put money on my phone on my card when I needed it.
no, well, you need to update your profile, it's called, okay? Just like when somebody turns whatever. You need somebody who's a student needs to update their profile proving that they're a student. You now need to update your profile again, even though they have your date of birth. Okay. And that's the way you update through the app. If you go to the Ravkov office, they'll help you do it 1, 2, 3 and help you
They
get
do
that
it for
money, extra
you.
money back.
So then
I'm
that's
looking
the
to,
easiest way to do it.
well, for some it's the easiest. Yeah. Um, okay. I'm trying to see what else. Liz answered a lot of the questions.
I also had some questions about the finances.
Okay, there is a question. Just 1 second. The problem not having an iPhone with an Israeli phone number is to get the card with the iPhone. You can get the senior card on your iPhone. There's an app, and we'll put that in the follow-up email, a link to the Ezrach Vatik app, both for iPhone and for Android. But I don't know that you can. Well, I mean that's the bottom line. You should be able to do it for both.
It has to do with your phone, less your phone number, unless I'm not 100% sure. But you should really try to get an Israeli number anyway. It's very helpful for many things, especially having other personal portals like a Bituach Limi portal, which is really, really helpful. And I would even go on to say important to have. I can't see
Um,
questions really,
so
Tippy.
I can. So there's a question about Arnona discount. Somebody's a general question. How do I associate the Arnona bill to my 2.0 number? You can do that specifically at the municipality, at the Arnona office. There's also usually ways to do that online. You need to present various documents or scan them and upload them. And that is also a good opportunity to get to know the municipality coordinator, which I mentioned once and Mary mentioned also, depending on what city you're living in. This question was written in by Maureen. I don't know which city you're living in, but there's a municipality coordinator that's classic for them to be able to help you to switch over the bill in your name. Um, I'm sorry, I'm running through a lot of these. Okay, if I paid into Bituach Leumi for 2.5 years after making Aliyah and then reach retirement age, do I get the full amount of pension?
So the amount of pension, there's a basic amount of pension, and then there is the amount of pension based on how many years you've worked. That information is found on the Bituach Leumi website. If you want to write to us, we can find it for you and send it to you. But there, a person who never worked might have a different amount than the person who worked for 40 years.
Okay, there's a question. If you're paying for Kupat Cholim like Maccabi Shali, if you're paying in any of the four Kupot, Maccabi is Maccabi Shali, Klalit is platinum or gold, any of the extra higher level supplemental health insurance that you pay directly to the Kupa, they do not offset your Bituach Leumi payment obligations. The Bituach Leumi payment obligation is for the basic health care, Briut, basic Sal Briut, basic health care package, and that's what you received for free for 6 months. And what you need to start paying directly Bituach Leumi. The fact that you have supplemental is wonderful. It's highly we recommend it, but it's does not one does not offset the other. They are two different payments. Um, do you know the answer to this, Miriam? If you don't pay into Bituach Leumi for 5 years before reaching retirement age,
I
you
answered
won't
her.
get pet. I'm
Laura?
sorry.
Is
Okay.
that
Yeah.
Laura? I answered Laura before.
Yeah. Okay. Then I missed that.
I remember Laura from her arrival.
Okay. Um, that seems to be all the questions, unless somebody has more that they want to type in now or unmute themselves for a second to ask. But that seems that we
I
got
may
to
have
all.
asked the question on the private to Miriam because she was responding to me, but I seem to be falling between the cracks as far as the financial aid is concerned. I was told that I can't apply to Bituach Leumi until I'm here for a year, and my Merkaz Klita money is used up, and I'm in financial need, and I don't know where to turn. And I've called Nefesh B'Nefesh, and I was told they have to speak to their supervisor, and they never got back to me several times, and I don't know where to turn to get help.
So Leah, are you American or Canadian?
American.
And does your passive income exceed 4,273 shekel monthly?
I don't know. I'd have to figure it out.
So write that amount down, 4,273.
4273.
And if it's below that amount, give us a call.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right then. Tzipi and Liz, thank you so very much for being me. Tzipi,
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
thank you, everyone.
Bye.
We
It's
wish you
great to
all
see
a
your
safe
faces. It's
evening.
great to see you all. Much hatzlacha, and have a wonderful Yom Ha'atzmaut, Bezrat Hashem.
Thank you, Tzipi. Thank you so very much, everyone. Call to.
Thank you for this
Thank
one.
you.
Thank
Thank you for your wonderful whatever it is, phone call, Zoomcast, whatever,
Bye bye.
what to call it.